You see, for every person killed, a child, a subordinate, an assistant is ready to step into place because they believe in their hearts what they're doing is right. If we don't spend time talking to people about what it is that we have, America can no longer speak about revolution and freedom and democracy if what they're doing is creating violence and militarism. Now, that's what the Buddhist monk said. But that's what I said when I look around in the Middle East. And I see that we are strong on talking about the calculations of war. But the psychological and the political defeats are rampant. You cannot say, look at all these Al-Qaeda operatives we killed. We're wiping them out when Al-Qaeda is still around. You're not wiping them all out because there are people standing up saying, I'll do it. And sometimes they don't have to stand. Sometimes they don't say, here I am. Sometimes they say, here I am. And I can sit and watch and wait. Dr. King was saying we need to put on another set of lenses, move away from military defeat and move into this thing saying we are in this thing together. They're not away from us, church. When we start believing that we are part of an ecumenical movement, we are part of the where? Church. Ecumenical, or ecumene in the Greek. Economics, same word. It's coming from the same place. Ecumenical and economics. Do you understand? We're in the same boat. We're living and breathing together. Now, I can believe differently. But can I not celebrate the fact that we are still in the boat together? That there is some place that I say, you're not my enemy. If we're breathing the same air, I want that air not to be polluted, don't you? So we can work together on that. Church, that sounds like the gospel of inclusion. Amen? But this is what is going on in our world right now. We don't have to just look back and say, wasn't that a quaint dream Dr. King had? Dr. King was telling us this is a prescription for life. You got to learn to live together, and it's not just a song. It's how you work and act yourselves. Church, I got a lot here. I worked on this sermon. I got a lot in here. But I want to tell you, church, that Dr. King lived a life that was marginalized. We right now say, oh, yeah, see, flawless, clawless. No, Dr. King worked hard to the point of exhaustion several times. He had to get away. Harry Belafonte talks about he had an apartment in New York. He gave the key to King, that King could get away and just sit and rest and just not hear anything because he was working so hard trying to do what's good, trying to do what's good. And knowing that people were saying no, that's a hard thing, church. The popular way is to go with the flow and to be happy because other people are patting you on the back. But Dr. King was saying, no, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I cannot be happy because I got a Nobel Peace Prize if people can't even vote in Lucas, Mississippi. Oh, yeah, I can call all kind of names because I've lived it. I've been a part of that, where you had separate water fountains, where you went in to get fed and was told, what are you doing here? You got to go around the back. You don't do those things and have those kind of feelings, those kind of psychological assaults, and it doesn't leave something on you. But you're not just sitting there in a whimpering pool with your head down feeling sorry. Because Dr. King is saying, you weren't created like this. A man can't ride your back if you've not bent over. You gotta get on up and realize where you're from. And in your realizing where you're from, you see that you are connected to that same racist person that would not serve you. That person has not received the light, but you have. Is it your job then to just say, well, you haven't received the light? No. No, that's the popular way. It's to not have the connection. But that person right there can be redeemed. That person right there can come on over to where you are. If you demonstrate to that person, I don't have malice in my heart. What I have is justice. And justice needs to be acted out in your place of business too. And so that's what the nonviolent movement was all about. People attacked Dr. King. We know about the knife, the letter opener. But did you know that there was a young white man who had been part of the Aryan nation who came on stage where Dr. King was and started striking him? And all at once there were Dr. King's supporters grabbed this man. And Dr. King said, do not hurt him. Let him go. Let him go. Amid all the people watching this in stunned silence. But Dr. King said, we need to work with this brother right here. So he stopped, and they took him away, and Dr. King did work with him, came back, and the man was able to talk about his history, how he was hurting. And so that's behind all the hatred. There is hurt there. There's jealousy. There is a feeling of smallness. And Dr. King was preaching to us that our smallness is in our mind. It's not what God gave us. We're not supposed to be all huddled and afraid. But we are to get up and move on. You know, I want to preach this morning, but, you know I got to go. I do, in my little church, Church of the Restoration, my wife sits in a strategic place in the service. And I know she's there because she'll give me little verbal clues, Those little clues like it's time, She doesn't say it, but she does it, And I know where I am with the clock, but I know we have to get going. But I wanna move on to this. Responsibility, church. The responsibility that we have now in this year 2009, Lord. In this year, that responsibility is even greater than it was before. You know the statistics. You know how it is in our financial situation. And in the midst of all this, we have Brother Barack coming to the house. We have Brother Barack, but listen now, listen. A whole bunch of people are already plotting. And I'm not saying they're plotting to hurt him physically, but they are plotting to hurt him. I heard something that there is a newspaper in Florida, St. Petersburg Times, I believe, that has what they call an Obameter. They said over the 2 years that Barack ran, he made 510 promises. So they are checking it out. Each time that he doesn't do something, he broke his promise. And that's what's going to be out in the airways. See, he broke his promise, see? Church, just because we have Barack in the presidency doesn't mean that our misery or the hard times are going to go away. Wolf Blitzer, during the campaign, had the nerve to ask Barack, how would Martin Luther King vote? Would he vote for you, Hillary, somebody in the Republican camp? How would he vote? And Barack said, laughingly, I don't think he'd vote for any of us. But he would hold whoever won accountable. That's what Dr. King was about. He was saying we have to have responsibility. If the elected president of the United States is not tending to the needs of the poor, the dispossessed, the oppressed, then he needs to be held accountable. Barack is walking with that. It's written in his heart. He knows that he has to be accountable. He's not just by himself, and we're going to let him know that. He's not just by himself.